Great. You want to do the administrator's report now,
Sure.
Kevin?
Just to advise the governing body and the public, recently we had a DEP inspection. The mayor was present with that concerning underground storage tanks. The township does have several underground storage tanks that are not registered and have existed for a long period of time. On behalf of the governing body, I had responded within the required amount of time, the 7 days, advising us that we would take an action. It will be a capital project that we would have to speak to you in the future about. The application process, and it's kind of awkward where we need to spend about $1,300 to make applications to register the tanks, to, in the near future, make application to remove the tanks. The DEP will not allow us to take any action other than registering them first. Upon receiving the permits of registration, then we could certainly, obviously, do the capital appropriation that we need to remove them. The underground storage tanks are at those locations for the use of generators in the event of emergency to operate our pump stations. In today's day, most of these things are above ground tanks. All ours are underground tanks, and none of them, even the two that actually operate, actually comply with state statute today. Some of them, while they use they had used the term with us mayors prior to 1988. Well, previous public works director was here for 30 years, and they actually dated him. So they've been in the ground for a long time. So we would need to take an action. I'll bring that to you in the future on the capital appropriation that's needed. The Sterling project, we took bids in December. We were expecting to make an award early this year at this meeting. We've had a discussion in an executive session that we're putting this off to January 24th to make a decision on. The Army Corps did, and this is what I referred to Mr. Maringold. The Army Corps sent out a letter stating that the federal budget for the fiscal year 2007 has not been approved, and the moratorium on starting the flood control project is still, however, the project is still in effect. The governing body received that letter, I believe, yesterday. But again, just to keep the public at notice. The township was also notified that Long Hill was awarded $5,000 allocation for the OEM program, thanks to Ken Folliger. It's been active. We do collect our money every year and put it to good use. I had mentioned at a previous meeting concerning traffic lighting. As you know, we applied for a grant at Division and Valley. There was two locations. One was Division and Valley, one was Northfield and Valley, which were determined that they were two locations based on their studies that could use traffic signalization. While the county, we had applied to the state of New Jersey for funding on this. We did get it funded on the Division and Valley project at $99,000, I believe the letter stated. The project, I think our traffic signals are about $126,000. So that usually the county pays for half and we pay for half. The fact that we were awarded $99,000, what the county would like to do is the county would like to actually, well, I shouldn't say would like, but would pay for the one on Valley and Northfield that's being warranted. But in order to either project get started, the township would need to do a survey of those corners in order to move the project forward. Particularly the county's looking for that survey so they can move their project forward on Valley and Northfield. T&M Associates is our licensed surveyor on staff. I shouldn't say on staff, but certainly noted. I'll move forward with them unless there's an objection to have them survey those corners.
We got the grant even though we didn't do a survey?
That's correct. No, actually, it's a land survey that we're looking for. The survey that you're speaking of is traffic.
Okay. This is okay. Yeah. I'm sorry.
Yeah. My understanding is the way those lights come about. There's a study that's conducted, traffic warrants, and to determine whether it's necessary or it's warranted, I should say, at that location. And the county provides. We're provided that information, and we go from there.
Kevin, before we proceed with that, can we look at the site clearance? So, in other words, if you're pulling onto Valley from Northfield, can we look at the line of sight to be sure that we can't possibly clear that more to get a better view of that? Because there is some brush and some trees that obstruct that may be on the town property. Is there any way we can do that?
Sure. I mean, we could certainly, the police department, they have someone that does that, looks at some of the site clearance issues and makes recommendations. I mean, the survey is obviously needed for the light, but we could certainly move forward on that. The, sorry, the statewide franchise on Verizon, which we've talked about on several occasions here, has announced their packages for cable for the township. You can check Verizon's website for any information you might are interested in. The Township Train Station Parking Program kicked off on December 15th. The Gillette Station is sold out. We've had some issues with Gillette Station. We've had, while we do oversell that station, we've had some issues as it relates to, in the beginning of the year, parkers that either don't have permits or an abundance of parkers that actually exceed the lots. And one of the things that we obviously do is while you buy Gillette, you do buy all three. So if you don't have a spot in Gillette and you can move to Sterling or Millington. However, that's not a consolation prize for those that are bought the Gillette Pass. So this year, for some reason, we've been getting a little more complaints about that parking lot as we started the year off. In those parking passes, we did sell them based on the new state law for sales tax, so that didn't go over that well. I'm sorry. So the sales tax, that didn't go over that well, so we collected the state sales tax. However, now there's a bill in Trenton to actually get rid of the sales tax. So we have to, we'll see where that bill goes and determine what we'll have to do in the future years. The township is also in receipt of a grant in the amount of $2,500 for the DARE program, which was provided to the police department for the program through the Municipal Alliance. The calendars went out at the end of last year. We've got some mixed reviews in the sense that people like the coupons and they don't like anything else. So we may have to revisit that. That was a program that we had thought that, you know, since the township did save about $8,000 and we had thought that it would offset the cost as well as provide some local advertising, and the local advertisers like it, but we've gotten, you know, a handful of complaints that there's not enough room to write their, you know, people's personal information in there. The calendar appears to be a little busy, and certain people are going to write us letters asking us to revisit that for next year. And that's my report, man.
Thank you.
Just for the record, I didn't fall asleep when it fell over.